Hello everyone! Have you also been waiting patiently for the Quarry game that's become extremely popular way before its initial release? Do you also wish to get creeped out by the spine-chilling scenes? We can't help but agree that the graphics, story, and horror factor looks fantastic. If you're a fan like us, sit back and let us give you all the essential guide you need before you start playing the game. First up, the Quarry craze. This cinematic horror survival game based at a summer camp at the end of the camping season, released on June 10th. Pack your gear, it's time to go. And while you do, remember that throughout the game, you'll encounter different types of events, such as choosing dialogue, quick time events, button mashing, and what are known in the game as "don't breathe" events. The first gameplay trailer, featuring the initial 30 minutes, was released on the 8th of April and took the world by storm. Due to age restrictions, it's only available on YouTube, so if you haven't watched it yet, do so. But side note, if you haven't, what are you doing watching this video? Next, let's talk about the genre, setting, length, and mechanics. The most basic things about any game are to know what the genre of the game is, where it's set, and what's the total length of the missions and its mechanics, right? So let's dive into it and learn all about it. As mentioned above, The Quarry is an interactive survival horror drama, following in the solid footsteps traced by Until Dawn, with other influences from movies like Friday the 13th, Sleepaway Camp, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Deliverance, and The Hills Have Eyes. Remember how huge Until Dawn got? And if you combine it with all of these movies, it's gonna be epic. If you're a horror fan, this is it for you. Players will take control of 9 characters as they attempt to survive the night at the titular Hackett Quarry summer camp. Hunted by crazed locals drenched in blood, and even by something described as far more sinister. Because it's similar to Until Dawn, this game also features a fully branching plot where players' actions determine the fate of the characters and their relationships. So you're not just in it for the murders and story, this is a whole movie plot where you can change the fate of your characters with your choices. According to Supermassive, each character can die in about a dozen different ways, not to forget gruesome ways. This also affects the length of the Quarry, as the premature death of some characters can shorten playthroughs. But worry not about your player's death. The death of a playable character can be averted with the death rewind mechanic. Ordinarily, this is unlocked after the first playthrough of the Quarry, but the deluxe edition includes it right away. The player gets to reverse a character's untimely demise up to 3 times in a playthrough. There will also be adjustable difficulty settings for all gameplay elements. And guess what? There's even a brand new option to play the game just like a movie, minimizing the inputs needed. Next, the cinematic experience. The game director Will Biles revealed in late March that he's catering the non-gamers and streaming audiences too, and wants everyone to enjoy his creation, even if they're not interested in playing it or don't own a PlayStation or Xbox. You can play, or your grandparents can play, and by turning all of the extra settings off, you've ultimately got a movie, and you can then decide what sort of movie you want it to be. You can make a happy ending movie, you can make it a really bleak ending movie, and you can choose our own favorite, which is the Gore Fest movie. That goes down a fairly dark path, and we bet our viewers love that. You can also go into the characters and map out their characteristics or plan their fate. You can let all of the characters live, you can let them all die, or you can use the director option if you want. This allows you to set behaviors for each main character, like being agile or confident or hesitant in certain situations. The game then makes choices based on your selection. In our movie mode playthrough, several main characters died, a few lived, and the game's big bad remained undefeated. Oh, and if you want gore with your horror, be sure to turn on the Gore Fest option. Create your person as grumpy, argumentative, clumsy, or whatever. Experiment with their personalities and then just hit play and see how it plays out. The director said that there's a whole lot of stuff like that, a lot of which leads into where streamers are concerned, and that they're going to add some DLC later in the cycle too that will allow streamers to tailor their games for their audiences. players. Lots of new stuff coming for the streamers. The Quarry includes multiplayer options too. There's a local co-op experience where each player takes turns to control different characters, and an online mode where up to 7 invited players can watch along and vote on crucial decisions. This was all the basic understanding of the game, so let's now head over and see what famous person is playing what character in the game. And now, the cast. The Quarry features an ensemble cast composed of popular actors often seen in horror flicks. These characters are all divided into 2 categories, the playable and the non-playable. The playable has Ariel Winter from Modern Family, who is the character Abigail in the game, Justin Smith from Jurassic World, Detective Pikachu, and All the Bright Places plays as Ryan. Evan Evagora, that you must know from Fantasyland, is Nick. Brenda Song from Dollface and Sweet Life of Zack and Cody is Caitlin, along with Skylar Gazanda, Siobhan Williams, Halston Sage, Miles Robbins, and Zach Tinker playing different characters. You can become any of these characters and have fun. The non-playable characters are David Arquette from the Scream franchise as Chris, Lance Henriksen from Aliens as Jedediah, Lynn Shay from A Nightmare on Elm Street as Constance, Ted Raimi as Travis, Grace Zabriskie as Eliza, and Ethan Suplee and Bobby. Now that you know who's who, are you more excited to play the game? Why wouldn't you be? It's filled with action, drama, and huge Hollywood names that you can control. Isn't that a dream come true? Now, 4 things you need to know. As you know, The Quarry is Supermassive Games' latest interactive, narrative-based horror game. It builds on the framework of 2015's Until Dawn and improves it in just about every way. It has better performance capture and expressive facial detail, more fully realized characters, an amazing cast, and so many choices. To make that, there are 186 different endings. That's a lot of gaming. So our viewers probably have a few questions, and out of all of them, 4 are the most important things you should know. First, how long is The Quarry? The developers estimate that a full playthrough will be between 7 and 10 hours. The difference comes from the choices you make along the way. You can easily choose actions or botch the timing of a QuickTime event that leads to a character's demise. That certainly shortens the game. We played through the story in movie mode, and it was slightly over 10 hours, but our player-controlled run took around 8. Second, there are limited do-overs. Be careful. The Quarry autosaves frequently, but you can't save the game manually. When you quit and reload, it drops you at the start of the most recent segment. Because there are so many choices to make in actions and dialogue, it's easy to kill off a character by mistake. After you play through the game once, you have the option in later playthroughs to take back actions that caused a death. But the death rewind feature that we mentioned can only be used 3 times per playthrough, so choose wisely. Third, be meticulous and find everything. You need to be very cunning, viewers. The Quarry has a lot of things to find in the environment. These include tarot cards, survival items, clues to the story, and much more. Important items are marked by a glowing light, but it's still easy to miss things. It doesn't help that movement is a little janky, but take the time to investigate every nook and cranny the game allows you to. There's no inventory to manage, so you don't need to worry about missing things like ammo or healing items. Just keep your eyes open and look for anything that you think is important for you. It's the key to winning the game and making sure your character survives this horror fest. And lastly, be open to surprises. The reason this game's getting so much attention is because one of its pleasures is using your characters to figure out the story. The big narrative beats are usually pretty obvious, but depending on your choices, there may be surprises you could not predict. There are clues, references, hints, and warnings everywhere. Again, keep your eyes open. The Quarry is definitely a game that rewards multiple playthroughs, and thanks to the excellent cast and writing, doing so is a pleasure. Don't delay and start playing it right now because it sounds awesome already. That's a wrap for this video. If you have any questions related to The Quarry, let us know in the comments below. Make sure that you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.